Hello, and welcome to another lawnfawn video. It's Kelly here, and today we are so excited to be introducing this brand new die set, Easter egg backdrop. It is so cute. We're also going to be introducing Scripty Easter and also the Scripty Easter outline add-on, which gives this really cool base for the Scripty Easter word. And then we'll also be showing you our brand new Easter egg background stencils. These stencils are a set of 2 stencils that has the Easter eggs and then all of the cool details, and we have some really cool ways that you can use this stencil that we'll show you in just a little bit. First up, we're going to take a look at Scripty Easter and the Scripty Easter outline. Now, the Scripty Easter can be used on its own, or you can layer it onto the outline piece. And you can see that the die creates this really cool embossed detail onto the outline piece so that you know exactly where to line up the die cut. And so all we need to do is add a little bit of liquid glue to the back of this beautiful Scripty word and then just layer that on top. And it gives it this really beautiful base and makes it a little bit more bold. Both the Easter on its own and with the outline look amazing. It just depends on what look you're going for on your card. Next up, we're going to take a look at the Easter egg backdrop. It has this beautiful backdrop die, which is a standard size card size of 5.5 by 4.25 inches. And then it has all of these little pieces that can be layered behind the die or used on their own too. And when you layer them behind the die, it fills in all the cute little Easter eggs and flowers, and it's such a cool look. But this frame die is absolutely gorgeous with or without these little pieces layered behind. And so all you need to do is add a little bit of adhesive to the back. You could use tape runner or liquid glue or even a double-sided adhesive sheet, and then you can just layer all of these little pieces. I like to layer pattern paper behind these because I think it's such a beautiful look, and here you can see how gorgeous it looks as you fill in the details behind the eggs and flowers. And we're going to show you some really cool and gorgeous ways to use this backdrop die. But before we do that, I wanted to take a look at the Easter egg background stencils. And so here I have a standard size piece of cardstock. It's 5.5 by 4.25 inches. And here you can see these stencils. And you can see it has little etched guidelines on the detail piece that help you line it up, making it super easy to do. And so here I'm going to start with my plain egg background. And I'm just going to ink that up with some Ballet Slippers ink, which is a nice light pink ink. Now you can do so many fun things with this stencil. You can do a really gorgeous tone-on-tone look with like a light pink with darker pink details. I'm going to mix some pink and purple, which is really pretty, and then Shari later on in the video is going to do the most gorgeous rainbow effect with this stencil. You guys have to check it out. It is so beautiful. So now that we have the plain eggs done, we can go ahead and line up all the detail pieces. And because there's that etch guideline there, it makes it really easy to line up. And in this case, I'm going to take some fresh lavender ink, this beautiful purple, it's nice light purple that we're going to layer over top of the pink eggs that we already added. And this ends up looking so beautiful. And of course, you can do rainbow techniques with this. You could even use some different paste to add the different details. So like some white paste or some silver or all sorts of cool things. So you can do so many fun things with this stencil. And here you can see as you lift this up, you have this beautiful egg background that is just gorgeous. Another thing I really like to do is to ink up this background stencil on top of pattern paper. And of course you can do this either landscape or portrait, both look amazing. Now it's time to use the Easter egg backdrop die. I love this die so much, and there's so many different ways to add adhesive. You could do liquid glue on the back or tape runner, but in this case I thought it'd be fun to try a double-sided adhesive sheet. And a double-sided adhesive sheet has 2 sides of adhesive, and that helps you essentially make a sticker, a cardstock sticker. So I trimmed down a piece to be a little bit bigger than my die, and I'm just going to attach that here to some white cardstock. Then all I need to do is flip it over and I can die cut my Easter egg backdrop, and that's going to put adhesive all over the back of the whole thing. Now this backdrop die looks absolutely gorgeous without layering things behind it, and I wanted to show you how beautiful it is. Here it is on some pattern paper. I mean, look how pretty that is. I love the delicate details. It almost feels like a beautiful lace. I just think it looks so pretty on these different pattern papers, but it also looks beautiful with things layered behind it, and that's what we're going to do now. So here I have some Bitsy Blooms paper. This is our brand new 6x6 pad that's so cute and perfect for spring, and it looks really cute with these little eggs and flowers. So I went ahead and die cut all of those pieces that are included in the backdrop die so that I could have all of these pieces to layer behind my frame. And so you can see all the little flowers and everything. It's going to look like cute little Easter eggs that we decorated. So I'm just going to peel up the liner paper of that double-sided adhesive sheet, and now I have all of the sticky adhesive on the back of my die cut, and I can just start layering all of those little pieces. You can see I kind of adhered myself to the backdrop for 1 second, but I was able to fix that and now start layering all of these cute little eggs behind this. Now, one of the things I like about this frame is that you could layer just the eggs or just the flowers and leave the other ones with more of that lacy look, or you can layer things behind all of them. There's so many cool and different looks, and I just love the pattern paper behind the eggs. Like, look how cute that is. It's just adorable. Now, like I said before, I use a double-sided adhesive sheet here, but of course you can use liquid glue or tape runner, and anything is going to just work so beautifully. And so here I've layered just the eggs, which I think looks so cute. But now I'm going to start layering some of the flowers. And you'll see that in the die set, we have this little die that cuts tiny little circles that can be the centers of the flowers. And then we're going to layer the other little flower bases behind them. And I think these little flowers look so cute in the pattern paper. It's just adorable. And this frame, my gosh, it's so beautiful. Right now we're making a card with it. And Shari's going to make a gorgeous card with it later. But she also used it as a photo frame, which I thought was such a gorgeous idea. And she'll show you that in just a little bit. And so now we've filled in kind of those like daisy style flowers, and you can see how pretty that is. And now we're going to work on the little tulips. And the tulips have, of course, the petals and then also the little leaves at the bottom. And so we're going to layer behind there some of the green pattern paper and some of the different colors behind the tulips. And oh my gosh, I mean, this just looks so gorgeous. And it's really fun to layer everything behind it. I find it very like relaxing just to kind of sit there, layer everything, and continue to make this beautiful backdrop. And so there you can see now we've filled in all of the cute little tulips, which is just beautiful. And then there's these tiny little flowers, and you can even layer things behind those too. And so we're going to do that here with some sunflower cardstock. We're just going to layer behind each of these, and that's going to fill in the little circle with this cute little yellow center. So I love that there's a way to layer behind everything on this die set. It's just too cute. And so now that we've layered all those, you can see how beautiful this is looking. I just love it. Now for the little corners, there's this fun kind of little dot detail, almost like a little confetti dot. And so I'm just trimming down some pieces of the sunflower cardstock to fill in those little dots. Of course, like any of this, you don't have to layer behind everything, but I was just having so much fun. So I just kept layering and layering, and this is so cute. And I was inspired by a card by Elise to make this today. So thank you so much, Elise. And here you can see just how beautiful this backdrop is looking. And we're going to be layering that over some more Bitsy Blooms paper in the 12 by 12 style so that everything coordinates really nicely. But before we do that, we're going to be working on building a bunny using the brand new Build a Bunny die set. And if you haven't used this die set yet, make sure to check out our intro to Build a Bunny. I'll link it in the description below. And here I am picking out all the pieces to create a sitting bunny. You can make 3 different styles of bunny: a standing, a kneeling, or a sitting bunny. But for this one, we're going to do the sitting bunny because honestly, he's my favorite. He's just so cute. And so I went ahead and die cut all of these pieces out of some speckled eggshell cardstock, which is like kind of like this very light vanilla color. But the speckled eggshell cardstock, that's hard to say, speckled eggshell cardstock is beautiful for ink blending on. Shari discovered this and it is absolutely amazing. And so here I'm brushing on some sugar cookie ink just to give a little bit of detail to the cardstock pieces, which I absolutely love. There's so many different ways to die cut these bunnies, just out of plain cardstock, out of pattern paper, and then out of cardstock that you ink, or also you could even color it with markers, which I did in the Build a Bunny intro video. But in this case, I thought it would be fun to start off with a color of cardstock and just add a little bit of inking. And so you can see there for the ears and for the back of the feet, I'm adding a little bit of pink with some ballet slippers, and then I'm using some dough ink, which is a nice brown ink, for the little circle piece that's for the nose. Now to make this bunny, you just need to trim off the little feet at the bottom of that base, and then we can start to layer pieces. We're going to layer the cute little bunny belly right there, right in the center, and that piece is cut out of the speckled eggshell, and I didn't do any inking so that it kind of looked like a little white belly. And then we're going to layer the little feet detail pieces on top of the solid pieces to fill in the little paw pads with the pink ink that we did. And then we can add some adhesive to the back of these pieces and then layer them right at the bottom of the bunny. Then the next thing we need to do is work on the bunny's head. So we're going to flip them over and add some adhesive. We can layer the ears, and then all of the other pieces are going to fit in kind of like a little puzzle. So we can take the piece of black cardstock and just line it right up with the bunny piece, and then we can fit the little circle right in there, and that's going to add color to all of the details on the bunny's face. And here you can see just how adorable that is. So we're going to add some adhesive to the back of the bunny's head, and on that little die cut there's a little emboss line, so we're just going to line up the head with the emboss line, and then we can tuck the little arms in. I like to tuck them just a little bit underneath the bunny's head and then just attach them right onto the bunny's body. And oh my gosh, I mean, look at this little guy. Isn't he just so cute? Now I'm going to take a pink marker here and just add some rosy cheeks. This is an R30 marker, and then I'm going to blend it out with an even lighter pink, which is R00, just to make the bunny's cheeks really soft, since he's such a soft bunny with all of that delicate inking that we did to him. And then now you can see just how adorable he is, and I love all the little details with that speckled eggshell cardstock. Next, I'm going to take out a white gel pen and just add some cute little details around the bunny, some little white gel pen marks onto his cheeks, and then just some little white gel pen lines all around the little curves around his head and his feet and his little hands. And I think that just makes the die cut feel even more special to add all of these cute little details. And you can see he is just looking adorable. Now, this little bunny would be absolutely so sweet in the middle of this backdrop. You can, of course, do the backdrop landscape or portrait, and that bunny would look so cute just like that. But I also wanted to add some more details and use that Scripty Easter die. So here you can see the Build-A-Bunny accessories, which has cute little clothes and little things they can hold. I went ahead and die cut the stem and the little tulip out of that same speckled eggshell cardstock, and I'm just going to brush on some ink. In this case, I am brushing on some celery stick ink for the green, and then I'm going to do some ballet slippers and bubblegum for the little tulip, so that it helps kind of match the pink of the Easter eggs and bring that color there into the cute little bunny. And so we're just going to add a little bit of the darker pink there towards the bottom of the flower, and then we can add some liquid glue to that little circle that's at the top of the stem, and then layer that tulip right on top. And then I'll just add some more liquid glue to the back of the tulip, and I'm going to have this little bunny hold it. And gosh, when you add this, oh my gosh, isn't this so cute? There's also like a little carrot key you can hold as well. I just think it's absolutely adorable, and it looks so cute with this backdrop. The next thing that I'm going to do is add some foam squares to the back of this whole backdrop frame. I really like the idea of it having that shadow box feel and having that nice pop, and so I layered foam strips and foam squares all behind, and then I'm just going to peel up the liner paper and layer it on to that piece of pattern paper that I cut to be the same size of 5.5 by 4.25, and oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. Now here I'm going to take out the Scripty Easter outline and the Scripty Easter. I've die cut the outline out of some vellum, which looks so beautiful, and then the Easter out of some gold foil metallic cardstock, which I think is just going to look so pretty. And so you'll see we're going to layer these two together. And so I'm just going to add some liquid glue to the back of the Easter, and then I can layer that on to the outline frame. And right now you can see my 4-year-old son Miles is helping me out with this card. His favorite holiday is Easter, so he is very excited about making fun Easter cards. And so here you can see how pretty this is. We've got the word Easter and the bunny. I also love that you could do this card with or without the bunny too. Now here is the Henry's Build a Sentiment stamp set. This is the bunny puns, and it has the word happy and also the word hoppy. But because I'm going to put the bunny on the card, I thought it'd be cute to add the hoppy Easter for the fun pun. So I'm going to stamp that out in some celery stick ink, and I'm actually stamping that onto that same speckled eggshell cardstock so that it'll coordinate nicely with the bunny. Now I'm adding some liquid glue to the back of the word Easter and layering that right into the card. And this is so gorgeous. This is what Elise did for her card. And look how beautiful that is. Oh my gosh, it's just stunning. And now I'm going to take this word hoppy, which I just trimmed down with my scissors into be a little rectangle, and we're going to add that in. And then we're going to add our little bunny off to the side, which I think is just so cute and sweet and such a fun way to kind of feature the sentiment but have that sweet little bunny there too. Now this here is a standard size card base that's 5.5 by 4.25, and I'm going to layer this whole panel on top, and now this card is all done. And I had so much fun making this card. It's so much fun to layer everything behind the frame. I love that this backdrop can also be used portrait or landscape, that you can use it with things layered behind or without it. There's so many cool and different design options. I just love it, and I think the Scripty Easter and that cute little bunny with it are just adorable. And next up, Shari is going to wow you with this fun rainbow inking technique. So take it away, Shari.
So let's make an Easter card with the Easter egg background stencils. I'm starting out with the largest lacy rectangle stackable. I cut this from some speckled eggshell cardstock, and I'm just going to put a little bit of removable adhesive on the back so that this will stick down to my glass mat. Then I'm going to take the Easter egg background stencils. There are two. One has some solid eggs, and then the other one has all the fun details of the eggs. We're going to start with the solid one first. Now you can see that these have the eggs sort of in lines on the background, and I want it to be a little more abstract. I'm going to tilt it on the diagonal so that my eggs are on the diagonal lines, because I'm also going to do colors in the opposite direction on the diagonal. I'll use the magnets for my glass board to hold this down. My mat is magnetic. I'm also going to use some tape so I can kind of flip it up and take a look at things as I need to. And we're going to make a rainbow across this on the diagonal from the top left corner to the bottom right. So I'm starting out with wild rose. Next, I have peach fuzz. And I'm trying to be very light-handed because we're going to use the same colors to add the details to our eggs. I'm also trying to put two colors on almost every egg. So you can see all those eggs that have the orange color are only half, and now I can go and fill in with the butter on the other half of the egg. I also have some eggs that are half butter, and now I'm going to come in with celery stick ink and blend those. So I like the look of a lot of these eggs being two-toned. So those that I had put the yellow on, kind of half of the egg, I'm going through and adding the green. Then I'm pulling the green down to the next line, and I'll do about half that egg in green. Moving on to merman as my blue color. With that same kind of method where I have half my egg green, I'm going to add the other half merman. And I'm going to protect this little corner down here where the edge of my stencil is, and you'll see here how I fill that in once I'm done with all my eggs. Then I'm pulling that merman down to make some half merman eggs, and now some fresh lavender. So I'll pull that lavender ink up into those merman eggs, and then I'll finish off down into the corner with that lavender. Now we have the top right corner and the bottom left corner where our stencil was not. So I'm just taking one of the eggs and I'm adding a little bit of yellow up here so it's nice and round like there was an egg there. And I'm going to do the same to the bottom left corner. I'm not going to worry about those eggs when it comes to the details because there's not enough for you to see them, but it does at least make it look like that stencil was even more continuous off those two corners. Now I can take the second stencil in this set and line it up with the eggs that I have already inked. I'll hold it in place with the magnets and the tape just as I did before. I'm going to protect that little corner down there. And then, as I said, we're taking the exact same inks. And the reason why this works is because now we have a second layer and it's just going to be a little bit darker, and it turned out so pretty. So we started with wild rose, moving on to that peach fuzz with that orange, and we're just going over those colors right where we put them down before. So this is butter going over all those yellow spots. Moving on to celery stick for the green, and you can kind of see how it darkens up, but you'll really see it here when we pull the stencil away. Moving on to that merman ink. Again, we don't need to worry about that egg down in the corner. There's not enough of it for you to tell that it doesn't have a pattern. If you did have a lot of egg shape down there, you could just move the stencil once you're done and add some stripes or polka dots to it. And then finally we have the fresh lavender. So when I pull this away, you're going to see these beautiful eggs with their fun details. And I just love this technique and how this turned out. I decided to add some shimmer to this with some gold metallic watercolors. So I'm just adding some gold metallic splatters on the background. It goes really well with the speckles in the speckled eggshell paper. And you can see I have a little smudge in the middle there. I'm not sure how that happened, but I'm not worried about it because it's going to be covered up by my images and my sentiment. Now I have a piece of green spiffy speckles paper, and I'm just going to cut the top of it with my Grassy border die. This is much bigger than what I need, and I will be cutting this down. First, I'm adding a little bit of celery stick ink to the blades of grass. And before I cut it down, I want to work on my sentiment. I have a small stitched sentiment banner here cut from the aqua colored spiffy speckles paper, and I'm going to stamp the sentiment from Spring Basket that says Happy Easter. So I'm just picking that up with my block, and I'll stamp this in some black ink right in the middle of the sentiment banner. And then this sentiment banner is going to become the guide for how much I cut down that piece of grass up there. First off, I know I have it too tall, so I need to trim it down a little bit. It's always better to start with too much because you can always trim some off. Now this is going to tuck behind the sentiment banner, so I'm just going to hold this here and see how far over I need to trim it. And I like to trim it between the blades of grass. It's a really perfect place to trim it down. So we're going to stop just short of the end of the banner. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of adhesive there, and now we have our grass peeking up behind our banner, which is just so cute. For my images, I have the spring basket with a little bunny, and it is full of fun Easter goodies. I'm also adding a little bow to my basket, and this is going to set in the grass where the sentiment is. Before I put those on there, obviously I need to put my beautiful background I created on to a card base. So I'm just adding this to an A2 size card base that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. It is white, so we're going to see that white peek through the lacy rectangle on the edges. And then I'm going to tuck the basket behind the blades of grass and the bunny too. So we're going to see a few blades of grass in front and then mostly behind, and that way we don't lose our images behind that grass. Then I'll add some foam squares so that this is all one piece that I can pop up right in the center of these beautiful rainbow eggs. I just think this little bunny with his Easter basket is so cute. I also colored and cut out the little butterflies from the spring basket stamp set, and I'm just adding those with a little bit of foam as well, so they are popped up off that Easter egg background. Finally, a little bit of glitter on our images, the butterfly wings, the bow, and the colorful Easter eggs in the basket. And then here is that finished card. I love that rainbow Easter egg background with the tone-on-tone stenciling. It turned out so pretty, and that little Easter bunny is so cute. So I'm taking the Easter egg backdrop die, and this is a perfect opportunity to use all your scraps of paper. So I have cut my eggs and all my little pieces that we layer behind out of some spiffy speckles. I've also used spiffier speckles, so I have some fun gold foil flecks, as well as a few pieces of solid cardstock. Then I cut my frame with those beautiful Easter eggs and all those spring details from some lilac cardstock. And I am just going to layer all these pieces on the back side. I did kind of lay them out where I wanted them to go, making sure I didn't have two colors that were the same right next to each other, like the yellows or the dark pink with the gold flecks. And I've flipped my frame over and I'm putting some glue on the back, and I'm starting with those little tulips. I cut these from some guava cardstock, so they're nice and bright. Now this is the only solid cardstock I use. It really made those tulips stand out. I will flip this over so you can see what that looks like. And then I'm going to flip it back to the back and work on the leaves. I did cut the leaves from some green spiffy speckles paper, but you could also use solid cardstock because they're really small. I just like all the pastel colors from the spiffy speckles collection. And it also gives some really subtle texture to all of these little die cuts. So I am layering my leaves on underneath my tulips, and you can see there how that's going to come together. And now I'm moving on to my eggs. So there are 4 large eggs in this, and kind of the way I looked at it is I picked 4 colors and cut a large egg out of each of those colors. And I'm just layering these onto the backside using a little bit of liquid glue. And I just love how we get the speckling detail on these, which I just think is perfect for an Easter egg. So I have some spiffier speckles that I added there. This yellow one is just from Spiffy Speckles, so I'm going to have a couple that have that gold foil detail in them and a couple that don't, and I just think that's kind of fun. Now I'm moving on to my other eggs. There are 2 of the medium size and 1 small egg. And I'm just using the same colors that I used for my large eggs for my small eggs. Next, I'm going to move on to those daisies. There are 2 small daisies and 1 larger one. So I actually did cut these from Spiffier Speckles, but I used the non-foiled side of the white paper just because it has a little bit of texture to it. And there's also the centers to the flowers that you can add. You could also color this with a marker, which I've done in the past if you just do a dot of color in the center. But I wanted to show you how to use all the pieces from this die. So I'm layering on that larger daisy at the bottom, and then you can see the 2 smaller ones are kind of around the top. You could also put the center dot on first and then layer the flower on as well. Whatever is easiest, I felt like this was pretty easy to add the center first and then pick the whole thing up as one piece. And then finally, the last little piece that we can layer behind are those tiny little flowers. Now I am putting a piece of colored paper behind this so we could see that through the flowers, but I just cut the peachy color and the pinky color from the spiffier speckles from my scraps, and I'm just alternating which color I put on there because all we're going to see is the little center of the flower. But this just adds that extra detail of even more color for our frame. And then the magic of flipping it over, and now you see all those beautiful Easter eggs and tulips and flowers, and it's so cute. Now I have colored and cut out some images from the Spring Basket stamp set. I am also going to use the new Scripty Easter and the Scripty Easter outline for my sentiment. I have cut both of these from some spiffier speckles paper, so we have that really lovely gold foiling speckle. So I'm just going to layer the Scripty Easter on top of the Scripty Easter outline. The Scripty Easter outline does create a score line that shows you exactly where to layer the Scripty Easter. So I'm just adding a few dots of liquid glue, and then I will pick this up and layer it right onto that white outline. And I just think that that's really cool look with that outline, and it also is going to make it really easy to pop up this sentiment with some foam. Now to finish my sentiment, I wanted to add the word happy, so it says Happy Easter, and I'm just grabbing the word happy from the Spring Basket stamp set and stamping that in some narwhal ink right here in the corner of this yellow Spiffy Speckles paper. And then I'll just trim this down to a little rectangle so I have a little rectangle that just says happy that I can add to my Easter. I do also need some background paper to layer behind my frame, so I am pulling out some watercolor wishes paper using the lighter side of a 12 by 12, and then I'll use the green spiffy speckles for my grass along the bottom. So I cut out that watercolor wishes paper to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 so it fits right behind my backdrop. And then for the green, I'm just trimming it down to 4 1/4 wide, and I think I trimmed it about 3 inches tall, and I am going to use a border die with grass to trim off the top. So I'm pulling out one of these simple grassy hillsides. I'm going to stack my pieces together and figure out how high up I need to cut this grassy hill. So I'm just going to lay my sentiment on here and my little images, and I'll actually just mark this with a pencil, and that's about how high I want that grass to be. So I will just line up the top of my grassy hill with about where that pencil mark is and hold it in place with some tape and cut that out with my die cut machine. And now I can just add my grassy hill to the bottom of my watercolor, which is panel. And then I will add this whole panel to a card base. Once I have this on a card base, then I'm ready to layer on my Easter egg backdrop. And I will be using liquid glue to put this on there. I do have lots of layers with all those eggs and flowers layered on the background, and I want to make sure all of these little pieces are nice and glued down. So I have a line of glue around all four sides, and then you can see I'm kind of going around the inside edge of the eggs and the flowers so that everything gets nice and tacked down. And I can just stack that onto my card base, and I have a beautiful Easter egg frame. For my sentiment, I am using some foam squares on the back of that Scripty Easter, and this is going to have a really cool look popped up off of that Easter egg backdrop. And then I will do the same with my little happy. I wasn't quite sure where I wanted it to go, but I decided over here to the left was the perfect placement for it, and I will just use some foam squares to pop it up as well. Now I can add my images, and for my Easter basket, I decided to stamp and color those cute little chicks, and they're hatching out of some colorful Easter eggs, which I think is really fun. And I'm just going to glue this directly to the background so that it can kind of tuck behind that little happy banner there. I also have a bow to add to my Easter basket, and I did color and cut out the two little butterflies in this set too, because I knew I would have some kind of sky to fill up here. So I have that one that I'm putting up above, and then I thought it would be really fun for this one to look like it's landing on the sentiment. So I will add this one with a little foam square. And then here is my finished card with that beautiful Easter egg backdrop and the Scripty Easter with that cute little bunny and the chicks in the middle. This is a perfect die to incorporate all those little scraps of pattern paper you have sitting around, but I wanted to show you a different version of this frame. I used all the same colors, but this is a photograph. This is a picture of me when I was little picking a tulip at my grandmother's on Easter in 1980, as you can see, but I thought that this was a fun, different idea for this backdrop. I also added a layer behind it that I cut with these stitched ovals so that I could fill in behind the tulips and the eggs with something brighter versus the dark colors of my photograph. But I just love that this can be a card and a photograph too.
Oh my goodness, Shari, I love this card so much, and I love the idea of using this backdrop as a photo frame. It's just so sweet and wonderful. And then this rainbow egg background that you stenciled, I am just amazed. I can't wait to make one just like it. And next up, we have some incredible cards by the design team. And this one by Grace features a cool rainbow look for that Easter egg stencil as well, with an adorable Build-A-Bunny, and it just makes me smile. Elena inked the pieces that she layered behind her Easter eggs and flowers, and I think it is such a beautiful look. I can't wait to try it too. And then this card here by Tammy is just so cute and sweet, and I love the bright and colorful Easter eggs in the background. Here, this card by Audrey is absolutely adorable, and I love how she watercolored within the frame. It looks so pretty. This card by Lynette is so super cute. I love all the colors that she used on the Easter egg, and the spring basket stamp set is a perfect match to that stencil. And then this card by Yanea is so sweet. I love all of her soft pastels that are just perfect for Easter. Here, I love this card where we featured the cute little bunny all surrounded by the Easter eggs. It just makes me smile. And then here, this card by Mindy is so pretty. I love all the inking on the eggs and how she brought in the butterfly from the brand new butterfly border. This card by Letitia is so pretty. I love the colors that she used, and I love that this frame can be landscape or portrait. And here Elise shows us how it can be beautiful as a landscape frame too, and this is the card that inspired us to make ours today. So we cannot wait to see all of your super cute Easter and Easter egg cards, so make sure to share them with us. Thank you so much for watching today, and I hope you have an absolutely amazing day. Bye!